The head coach of your favorite football team has this sinister grin. I think you know the one I'm talking about, when he's up to something and he knows he's up to something. Good afternoon to you. Good Wednesday afternoon. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is the new Double Shot Show. It comes your way every weekday afternoon. Happy to have you here. Steelers versus Browns this weekend here in Pittsburgh. That's a 1:02 p.m. kickoff at Acrisure Stadium. And I don't know that there's a whole lot of intrigue to the matchup. Obviously, you're talking about two rivals in the division. You're talking about teams that just faced each other a couple of weeks ago. And remember, half of that game did not have any snow. So it was just, plain old football. So there weren't any hidden schematics. There weren't any surprises or anything like that. But unmistakably, there have been hints emanating from the Steelers locker room, not just the coach, although he gets that grin when he talks about it, that the edge rushers are about to turn into some sort of supersonic proto-nuclear weapon against their opponents. Now, what exactly could that mean? Well, the first thing that it means is that Alex Highsmith is expected to be back. In fact, Alex himself, as he acknowledged today after practice, expects to be back. Alex also expects, and this is the part that won't surprise you at all, that you're going to see different alignments for the edge rushers when he returns. Here's some of what he had to say today.
By doing that, those different looks at offensive line, because so often the film has just been us on the same side or whatever. And so by doing that, by switching it up, and by having our multiple outside backer package on the field with three of us on the field at the same time, that those are different look at offenses. And so we just got to continue to work that, continue to get better at those looks.
Yeah, on one hand, it's a no-brainer. Okay, when you have someone creating splash at the rate that Nick Herbig does, you'd be an idiot to leave him off the field. While at the same time, when you have someone who's as steady and sturdy at sealing the edge on the run as Highsmith is, you'd be an idiot to leave him off too. And of course, there's the other guy. You'd be a real idiot to leave him off the field. So if you can't craft a way, whether it's Terrell Austin as the coordinator, Tomlin as the head coach, who focuses mostly on the defense, you do it. You find a way to have them all out there. In fact, they're all even throwing in Preston Smith. They want Preston Smith involved because Smith himself, though not with as many headlines and so forth, has been making his own impact. He's been pretty good, actually. And for the Steelers to have this many weapons at that position, look, as Tomlin said the other day, you can't have enough edge rushers. You can't have enough guys, especially when you get into December, because there is attrition at that position. I hate to bring it up, but there is. And you'll notice that some of the bigger games that have been missed by some of the Steelers edge rushers in recent years have come in December. And of course, with TJ missing the playoff game in Buffalo last season, what I want to see is something that's unusual enough, unpredictable enough, that the Steelers can almost have a 2.0 phase to their defense. Use it to their advantage that they've been without Highsmith and or Herbig at various points of this season to date, and just kind of unveil it. Unveil it right then and there. Go after Jameis Winston. Make him uncomfortable. You know what happens when he's uncomfortable. And then have yourself another 5 games where opponents are facing something not only that they hadn't seen on film through the Steelers' first 11 games, but they don't face anywhere. What team does this? What team has 3 edge rushers on the field? In fact, the term doesn't even make sense, edge rusher, and then to have 3 of them, because there aren't 3 edges. But if you move them around, if you have TJ in the middle, if you have Nick in the middle, you can do a lot of different things. You can really freak with the other team's offensive coordinators and, of course, in turn, their quarterbacks. This is fun. When we come back, going to be joined by Chris Halleck.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Joined now by Chris Halleck over on the South Side. Jameis Winston, in addition to being a great guy with a lot of character and everything, he throws a lot of interceptions. Chris, what do the Steelers need to do to make sure that they get more of those against him? Because I have a feeling that all by itself could define this game Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things they need to do is have a similar approach to how they play Joe Burrow. And I'm not talking about in terms of respect of what he can do. I'm talking about in terms of limiting his mobility, in terms of moving around, whether that be inside the pocket or just barely kind of moving outside the pocket and keeping his eyes downfield and making throws. Because he hurt the Steelers a few different times doing things like that. And so it's going to be those edge guys trying to contain the edge. It's going to be those guys on the interior pushing up the middle and not letting him kind of have that room to step up. It's making him uncomfortable the same way they've done to some other quarterbacks. That's one way, because if you force him to do that and to just be a drop back passer, he will make mistakes. There will be mistakes to be had. You will have interceptions.
And you say force him, you say make him uncomfortable. And what I'm hearing is blitz, but they don't do that. They haven't done that, and I just can't foresee at this stage how they would just magically unveil that for the second time they're facing the same opponent. So what's the way to do that? What is it? Just, all right, TJ, just go be yourself? Is it, Alex, it's nice to have you back, just go be yourself? Is it using, as Mike Tomlin intimated yesterday, multiple outside linebackers or edge rushers, getting Preston Smith involved, obviously Nick Herbig involved, moving them around? I don't know. What's the answer? Because it's not the blitz.
No, part of it is actual pressure trying to get to the quarterback, and they do have to just simply be better when it comes to getting after the quarterback, even with a four-man rush. That Browns offensive line should not be handling the Steelers defensive front the way they did. They did. That was part of the problem, was that they lost that battle, a battle they should have won. Now, if they win that battle, the pressure will naturally occur because they will then force. Again, it's not always about bringing Winston to the ground. It's about, okay, if his first read isn't there, so you have to be buttoned up in the back end too. It's about making him as uncomfortable as possible while he's trying to also make his second read, his third read, and before he tries to get to a check down. And that's the way to get him to make mistakes. Whether you end up sacking him, great, or whether you actually end up forcing him to throw an interception.
Now, within all this, and in the interim, since the Steelers played the Browns went out to Denver, and Jerry Jeudy, whether or not he was motivated by facing his old team, the Broncos, the ones who drafted him and all that, but Jerry Jeudy went completely berserk.
Yeah.
And you're talking about 250 yards. The Broncos had no answer for him. Now, I don't expect something like that to happen against the Steelers, especially given that they just held, and I do mean held, Jamar Chase to 80 and T. Higgins to around 60.
Yeah.
However, wouldn't part of this solution of getting these interceptions, getting these takeaways from Jameis be to just blanket Jeudy? Because I don't know that he's got another option. I don't know that he's got another place he can go to if he doesn't get to Jeudy.
Oh, no, David Njoku can do some damage too.
He does, but he's done it in the past, but he doesn't do it. Did you see him in the last game? One time.
No,
yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying. So I think the world of Njoku's talent, and we've seen him when he's effective, but we've also seen games where he's just not even there.
Yeah, I still think it's somebody you have to make sure that you're not leaving the middle of the field wide open.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Elijah Moore has done some pretty good things here and there too. I think Winston's found some comfort with him. But they're not overly dangerous guys. These are guys that they should be able to cover pretty well. But yeah, Judy's the guy you have to zero in on. If that requires, whether, if it's just ultimate, Joey, we're going to trust you to hack a shack and go out there and, just blanket him all day, then great. If you're going to use more more zone coverage, then, have Porter or Jackson and then have a safety over the top, whatever it is. They do have to, that is the guy they have to zero in on. And then you put a cap on what the Browns can do through the air.
You could put a cap on it. You can do that in a couple of different ways. You can double him. The Steelers haven't really doubled much of anybody this season either. It's part of what they keep building their offense toward, I think, is that they don't want to do gimmicks. They don't want to move guys here or there. They just want the people that they have to do what they're supposed to do, up to and including having Joey Porter Jr. just take 6 flags. We don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That ultimately, you're right. That is what they want to do. They want to be able to put 11 guys out there and have each one of them do their job to perfection. Now, granted, you're not going to bat 1,000 on that. So, but that's just the style of defense that they're playing, because they feel if everybody goes out there and does their job, Cam Hayward describes it as, not one guy trying to defend 2 gaps. You do your job. The guy next to me does his job. The guy next to him does his job. And the guys behind me, they do their jobs. They feel that they can, with the schematics, with the way guys execute, with the way the guys can react to certain things, that plays will happen. And shoot, man, look at what they're doing. They're right near the top or right at the top in terms of takeaways. So they are forcing teams to turn the ball over.
Over under 2, 3 picks. What do they got?
If you set it at 2.5, I don't know if I'm going to say. I don't know if I'm going to say over 2.5. I'd say 2. I think 2 is a fair bet.
I'm mean enough to predict that Minka will get the half pick, because those don't exist. When will we come back? J1Q.
Safety is a habit. Gun safety and responsible storage are no different. Help prevent gun accidents, misuse, and theft. Keep firearms safe and secure when not in use. For safe storage options, visit projectchildsafe.org.
Time now for today's J1Q. It stands for just one question, and for that, we head over to our nation's capital.
Good afternoon, DK. Hope all is well. This is Daning from Washington, D.C. With the recent series HBO in season with the Pittsburgh Steelers and other teams in the AFC North, what are your thoughts on how they portrayed the team, and in particular, Mike Tomlin? Take care.
Appreciate that. I'm just going to be honest with you here. Hard Knocks is not my thing. I've never seen an episode of it. I don't intend to see any. It's not out of any kind of weirdo protest or whatever. I'm just, think about it this way. I'm around these guys a lot. I deal with them a lot. I see them interact. I hear how they talk to each other. And the last thing I would do when I get home is to watch more of it just because it was caught on camera. I think that it's a good thing for fans to start there, that you'll get to see some of the best, hopefully, of Mike Tomlin in particular. There's a lot of misconceptions. There's a lot of misinformation that exists that just gets kind of blindly shared among people, especially when the Steelers aren't doing well, about Tomlin, in particular as it relates to discipline, that he's not tough on guys, that he's not in their faces after a mistake. He very, very much is. Again, if you're a reporter, you're seeing this on a regular basis. Now, we can relay it to you, but then there's also a lot of misconceptions about what it is that we do for a living. Oh, you're in cahoots. You're worried about losing your credential or other nonsense like that. You'll hopefully be able to see what it is that's happening for real behind the scenes, because one thing I know, at least in reading about how these Hard Knocks things are done, is that they're not just looking for the best angels. They're looking for whatever is back there. So whatever it is that you see, whatever it is that makes it to the final cut is going to be authentic and is going to be something that in most cases, and certainly in Tomlin's case, he doesn't want out there. He just doesn't believe in it. You hear him use that term a lot. I'm not going to peel the curtain back for you guys when he's referring to reporters. Peel back the curtain. That's his world. He doesn't need anybody poking around in what it is that he's doing back there or how he's motivating this player or that player or the way he'll go at, for example, a Patrick Queen, the way he did. He tormented Queen in advance of facing the Ravens. Not 1 week, but 2-3 weeks out. He would let him know, that I see you. They dumped you. They let you go. They didn't value you. They thought you were, what was it? Another man's trash is one man's treasure or something to that effect. He is an inspirational leader, but he's also a substantive leader. And what I mean when I say that, Danon, more than anything, is that it's one thing to just, to stand there and yell out platitudes and, do this stuff, kind of the stuff that we see from Dan Campbell. I'm not knocking Campbell. I mean, Campbell's the guy that's most associated with that right now in the NFL, especially since the Lions are winning. And you see those post-game speeches that are so emotional and so, okay, that's great. What you've also got to do as a great leader, and maybe Campbell does this, I don't know, you got to follow up with it. You got to go to the individual. And that's where I've seen with my own eyes that Tomlin excels. He'll know exactly which button to push with each player. And the beauty of it is, from my perspective, if I go around the locker room and I ask random special teams guy, okay, I'm talking about someone whose name would never cross you don't even know he's on the roster. If I say the name out loud, you won't even know who I'm talking about. But he'll have spoken something to that individual that resonated, that made it through and stuck. Not just because he's the head coach, but because he worded it in such a way. He made it so specific to that player that it found a home inside the cranium. And it made maybe a little bit of an impact on that Sunday. That's really, really, really good coaching. And don't forget, in all of organized sports, football and everything, upper levels, lower levels, child levels, the number one task of the head person, whether it's a head coach, a manager in baseball, whatever it is, the number one task is to get everyone focused and working toward a common goal. The strategic stuff, yeah, that's in there too. But the number one trait that you're looking for is to do the things that Tomlin is really, really good at. I appreciate the question, Dane, and I'm actually a little disappointed that they thought to put that HBO thing opposite the Penguins facing the Stanley Cup champions and beating them, because I'm going to guess most all of Pittsburgh was watching the hockey game. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody checking out the new Double Shot Show. We're going to have another one of these tomorrow.